My beloved soul. There is a quiet moment that happens in life when the noise suddenly loses its power. It does not arrive with thunder. It does not announce itself with dramatic signs. Instead, it appears like a soft shift in the air around you, a moment when your mind grows still and something deep within you begins to connect pieces that once felt scattered. And when that moment arrives, the world around you subtly changes. This is the moment you are entering now. For a long time, there were things happening around you that did not fully make sense. Conversations that felt slightly off. Behaviors that seemed harmless on the surface but carried a strange weight beneath them. You noticed small contradictions in people's words, little inconsistencies in their actions, but you could not always explain why your spirit felt uneasy. Yet now, something is different. You are beginning to see patterns. You are beginning to feel clarity where there once was confusion. And there is a reason for that. Because the season of hidden things quietly continuing without consequence is ending. The time when certain people believed they could move in shadows without being seen is drawing to a close. What once remained concealed is slowly stepping into the light, not through loud exposure, but through awareness, your awareness. Their time of escape is over. Not because you suddenly became confrontational. Not because you decided to chase after truth with anger or accusations. But because something inside you has awakened, and awareness changes the entire structure of every situation. You see, the human mind is designed to recognize patterns long before it can explain them. Your intuition, the quiet intelligence placed inside your spirit, notices shifts in tone, energy, and behavior before your logical mind can put words to them. Scientists might call it subconscious processing, the brain collecting tiny signals and assembling them into understanding. But what you are experiencing goes deeper than mere analysis. It is spiritual perception. For a long time, your kindness allowed people space to reveal who they truly were. You observed more than you reacted. You listened more than you spoke. And while some mistook your silence for naivety, heaven knew something they did not. You were watching. And now the patterns are becoming impossible to ignore. Have you noticed how certain people suddenly act differently around you? Some who once spoke confidently now hesitate when you enter the room. Others who once hovered close have quietly begun to create distance. Their words feel more careful. Their laughter slightly forced. Their presence around you carries an unfamiliar tension. This is not coincidence. Awareness changes energy. When someone realizes that the person they once underestimated is no longer blind to the dynamics around them, something shifts within them. The comfort they once felt begins to dissolve. The strategies that once worked suddenly feel fragile. Because deception thrives in darkness. And awareness is light. You may not have said anything. You may not have confronted anyone. Yet the atmosphere around you has begun to change in ways that even you might not fully understand yet. Conversations pause when you approach. Subtle glances pass between people. Small signals appear, signals that would have gone unnoticed before. But now you see them. This is the quiet power of awakening. Not loud. Not aggressive. But unmistakable. And here is the truth many people do not realize. The moment someone understands that you see clearly, the entire balance of power begins to shift. Those who depended on confusion begin to feel exposed. Those who relied on misdirection begin to feel watched. That is why some will slowly step back from you. That is why others will suddenly become nervous in your presence. And that is why a few may attempt to behave as if nothing has changed at all. But something has changed. You have changed. The calm inside you is not ignorance anymore. It is awareness. And awareness carries a quiet authority that no manipulation can easily overcome. When someone realizes that their actions are no longer invisible, their confidence begins to crumble from within. This is why heaven allowed time to pass the way it did. Not to weaken you, but to strengthen your perception. Because if truth had appeared too early, you might not have been ready to see it clearly. Now you are observing with wisdom instead of emotion. You are recognizing behavior instead of reacting to it. And that changes everything. Even now, there are people around you trying to understand what has shifted in your presence. They cannot fully explain it, but they feel it. The same person they once thought they understood now carries a calm clarity they cannot easily control. And that realization unsettles them. But what you are beginning to notice right now, the subtle tension, the shifting behavior, the quiet unease appearing in certain people, is only the beginning. Because what you are starting to see is only the first layer of a much deeper revelation that is about to unfold. My beloved soul, there is something important I need you to understand about the shift that is happening inside you right now. Many people will try to interpret your past in a way that makes you seem unaware, passive, or easily influenced. They may quietly tell themselves that you simply did not notice what was happening around you. But that story was never the truth. You were never naive. You were observing. There is a difference between someone who does not see and someone who chooses patience. And for a long time, you chose patience. You watched situations unfold without rushing to conclusions. You allowed people the freedom to reveal themselves through their own words, their own decisions, and their own behavior. What some people interpreted as innocence was actually restraint. What they mistook for silence was actually awareness growing beneath the surface. And now that awareness has reached a point where it can no longer be ignored, not by you, and certainly not by those who hoped you would never see clearly. This is the beginning of a powerful realization process. The first realization is this: most people move through life using subtle forms of manipulation without even recognizing it. Sometimes it is small, carefully chosen words designed to influence how others think. Sometimes it appears as emotional pressure, shifting blame, or creating confusion so that responsibility becomes unclear. These patterns are deeply embedded in human social behavior. But manipulation only works when the person on the receiving end does not recognize the pattern. The moment someone sees the pattern clearly, the entire structure collapses. And that leads to the second realization: your awareness has quietly changed the entire game around you. Nothing dramatic had to happen. You did not need to confront anyone publicly. You did not need to raise your voice or accuse anyone of wrongdoing. The simple fact that you now see what is happening alters every interaction. Because awareness creates boundaries without words. When someone who once relied on subtle influence suddenly realizes that their tactics no longer produce the same reaction from you, confusion begins to grow inside them. They may attempt the same behaviors they used before, but something feels different. Your responses are calmer. Your reactions are measured. Your presence feels grounded instead of uncertain. And that brings us to the third realization. Power in social environments rarely moves through loud confrontation. It moves quietly through perception. The person who understands the dynamics of a situation without becoming emotionally entangled often holds the greatest influence. That shift is happening in your life right now. You may not feel like you are gaining power, because the transformation inside you feels peaceful rather than aggressive. But the truth is that calm awareness carries a strength that unsettles those who relied on confusion to maintain their position. Without realizing it, the balance has begun to move toward you. The fourth realization follows naturally. People are beginning to understand that they can no longer fool you the way they once believed they could. This realization does not always appear openly. Many will not admit it directly. Instead, it shows itself through small changes in behavior. Some individuals become overly cautious with their words. Others attempt to act unusually friendly, hoping to maintain influence. A few may even attempt to distance themselves quietly, as if stepping away before their actions become fully visible. These reactions are not random. They are responses to awareness. And then comes the fifth realization, the one that explains why certain individuals seem suddenly nervous around you. Panic often appears when someone realizes that the narrative they depended on is no longer secure. For a long time, some people believed they understood exactly how to manage your perception. They believed they knew what you would tolerate, what you would question, and what you would overlook. But that map no longer works. When someone realizes that the person they once underestimated has become deeply perceptive, uncertainty begins to grow. Every interaction starts to feel unpredictable. Every conversation carries the risk of revealing more than they intended. And that uncertainty creates tension. You may notice it in the way someone avoids direct eye contact. You may hear it in the way conversations suddenly change direction. You may feel it in the strange silence that sometimes follows when you calmly observe instead of reacting. These are the signals of shifting power. Yet even now, what you are witnessing is only part of the story. The nervous behavior, the cautious words, the quiet distance some people are creating, these are surface reactions to your awakening awareness. But the real reason some individuals feel exposed when they stand near you is something far deeper. My beloved soul, what you are beginning to witness around you is not merely a shift in behavior. It is the slow unraveling of patterns that once depended on your uncertainty. For a long time, certain dynamics around you operated quietly, almost invisibly, like threads woven into everyday interactions. Words were chosen carefully. Situations were guided in subtle directions. Small emotional pressures were placed here and there, just enough to influence outcomes without appearing obvious. But something has changed. Your awareness has stepped into the room. And once manipulation is seen clearly, it begins to lose its power. This is the sixth realization. Manipulation survives through invisibility. It requires the other person to remain unsure, distracted, or emotionally reactive. As long as someone is confused about what is happening, the person controlling the situation can continue guiding events without resistance. But the moment clarity enters the equation, manipulation becomes fragile. Because now the pattern is visible. Imagine someone attempting the same subtle tactic they used many times before, perhaps a carefully framed story, a small shift of blame, or a quiet attempt to steer perception. In the past, these moves might have worked smoothly. But now your mind recognizes the pattern instantly. You may not even respond. And that lack of reaction changes everything. Which leads to the seventh realization: silence becomes your strongest weapon. Most people believe power comes from confrontation. They believe the strongest person in a room is the one who speaks the loudest, argues the hardest, or pushes back with visible force. But that is only one form of power, and often it is the weakest one. True psychological strength often appears in stillness. When someone attempts to provoke you, guide you, or manipulate a situation, they expect movement. They expect a reaction. They expect you to step into the emotional space they have created so that they can continue directing the interaction. But when you remain calm, when you simply observe without rushing to defend yourself or attack them, the structure they built begins to collapse. Because they no longer control the rhythm of the situation. Silence creates space. And in that space, truth begins to reveal itself. This is the eighth realization: people often expose themselves when you stop reacting. Human behavior has a fascinating pattern. When someone believes their influence is working, they usually remain careful and controlled. But when that influence suddenly stops producing the results they expect, their behavior begins to change. They try again. And again. And again. Each attempt becomes slightly more obvious than the last. Their words grow sharper. Their strategies become less subtle. Their frustration begins to appear in ways they did not intend. Without realizing it, they begin revealing their own intentions. You do not need to expose them. Their behavior does that for you. When you stop reacting emotionally, the pressure shifts back to the person who was trying to control the interaction. Now they must explain themselves. Now they must maintain the story they created. And maintaining a false narrative requires energy. Eventually, that energy runs out. Which brings us to the ninth realization: the reason the tension around you continues to grow. Their escape routes are closing. For a long time, certain people believed they could always redirect attention, always reshape the story, always create enough confusion to avoid accountability. But awareness changes the structure of every future interaction. When someone knows you see clearly, they cannot comfortably repeat the same behaviors. Each move feels riskier. Each word feels heavier. The space that once protected them begins to shrink. You may notice this happening in subtle ways. Conversations that once flowed easily now feel strained. People who once spoke confidently now measure every sentence. Situations that once seemed casual now carry a strange tension beneath the surface. This is not hostility. This is pressure. The pressure that appears when truth begins quietly surrounding a situation from all sides. And the most remarkable part is that you did not create this pressure through confrontation. You did not force anyone into a corner. All you did was awaken your awareness and stand calmly inside it. But calm awareness has a way of rearranging the entire environment. Because when truth enters a space, every hidden structure inside that space begins to weaken. Some people sense this shift immediately. Their instincts tell them something is different about you now. They may not understand exactly what has changed, but they can feel the stability in your presence. The same person they once believed they could easily influence now stands with quiet clarity. And clarity cannot be easily controlled. That realization unsettles them more than anger ever could. Anger can be redirected. Arguments can be twisted. Accusations can be denied. But calm awareness simply observes. And observation leaves very little room for escape. This is why certain individuals seem increasingly uncomfortable when you are nearby. It is not because you have become confrontational. It is because your presence now reflects truth back into the room, and not everyone feels comfortable seeing themselves clearly. Yet even now, something greater is unfolding beneath the surface of these interactions. Because the process you are witnessing is not only about awareness or psychology. There is a deeper timing at work, a quiet alignment that is beginning to close every door that once allowed certain behaviors to continue unchecked. And soon, something will happen that they never expected. My beloved soul. By now you may be sensing that the changes unfolding around you are not random. They are part of a larger pattern, a slow alignment that has been forming quietly beneath the surface of your life. Every realization you have experienced, every shift in perception, every moment of clarity that replaced confusion, these were not isolated events. They were preparation. Because there is a principle woven into the fabric of life that many people underestimate, and this brings us to the 10th realization: truth always surfaces eventually. It may take time. It may move slowly. Sometimes it hides beneath layers of stories, distractions, and carefully managed appearances. But truth carries a unique quality that deception cannot replicate. It does not require constant protection. It does not demand endless explanation. It simply waits. And eventually, truth begins to rise. At first it appears in small signals, subtle contradictions, uneasy glances, strange shifts in behavior. Then the pattern becomes clearer. What once seemed confusing begins to organize itself into understanding. The pieces that never quite fit together suddenly reveal the larger picture. This is why patience has always been one of the strongest allies of truth. Those who rely on manipulation must constantly maintain the illusion they created. They must monitor every conversation, adjust every narrative, and carefully manage every reaction. But truth does not need that kind of effort. It simply exists, waiting for the moment when awareness becomes strong enough to see it clearly. And that moment has arrived in your life. Which leads to the 11th realization: awakened individuals often make others uncomfortable. Not because they are aggressive. Not because they seek conflict. But because awareness quietly removes the protection that deception once relied on. When someone stands in calm clarity, they become a mirror that reflects behavior exactly as it is. Many people are not used to standing in front of such a mirror. For those who have lived honestly, awareness feels peaceful. It brings understanding and stability. But for those who depended on confusion, awareness feels threatening. It removes the shadows they once used as shelter. And that is why some people grow uneasy around someone who has awakened. They cannot easily predict them anymore. The 12th realization explains why this unease becomes even stronger. Calm people often hold the real power in any environment. Power is frequently misunderstood. Many believe it belongs to those who dominate conversations, who push their opinions aggressively, or who create pressure through forceful personalities. But that type of power is unstable because it relies on constant control. Calm authority works differently. A calm person does not rush to react. They do not become trapped inside emotional storms created by others. They observe, they understand, and they respond with intention instead of impulse. This stability shifts the balance of every interaction. When others realize that they cannot easily provoke you, confuse you, or control your reactions, they begin to lose their influence. And that leads to the 13th realization: exposure often happens without confrontation. Many people imagine exposure as a dramatic event. A loud accusation, a public revelation, or a direct conflict where everything is brought into the open at once. But reality often unfolds in a much quieter way. Exposure frequently happens through time. When someone continues behaving in ways that are inconsistent, manipulative, or dishonest, those patterns eventually become visible to more than one observer. What once existed as a private suspicion begins to appear in multiple perspectives. Slowly, the narrative they tried to control becomes impossible to maintain. And the most powerful part of this process is that you do not have to force it. Truth reveals itself through consistency. Which brings us to the 14th realization, the final piece of this unfolding pattern: divine timing quietly closes every escape. There are moments in life when people believe they have avoided consequences simply because time has passed. They assume that if nothing happened immediately, nothing will ever happen at all. They convince themselves that the story has already ended. But timing does not always operate according to human expectations. Sometimes time is used to prepare understanding. Sometimes it allows hidden patterns to develop fully so they can be seen clearly. And sometimes it waits until awareness is strong enough to recognize the truth without confusion. This is why certain situations in your life have taken longer to unfold than you once expected. It was never about delay. It was about alignment. Now look at everything that has been revealed to you, the patterns you noticed, the behavioral shifts around you, the tension that appears when awareness enters the room. These realizations are not separate lessons. They are pieces of a larger transformation taking place within you. You have moved from uncertainty to clarity. From reaction to observation. From confusion to understanding. All of these steps lead to a deeper truth about power. Power is not loud control. Power is alignment. Real power appears when silence, awareness, and divine guidance begin working together. Silence allows you to observe without distraction. Awareness allows you to recognize patterns clearly. And divine alignment ensures that truth unfolds at the right moment, not through force but through inevitability. This is the new definition of power you are stepping into. You do not need to chase exposure. You do not need to fight every battle. When awareness and truth stand together, the environment begins to correct itself. And that correction has already started around you. People sense it. Situations are shifting. Patterns that once operated comfortably are beginning to collapse under the weight of clarity. But before the full impact of this moment arrives, there is one final thing you must understand, my beloved soul. There is one final truth you must understand as this moment in your life unfolds. It is a truth that will protect your peace, strengthen your mind, and keep your spirit steady even while everything around you begins to shift. You are not called to chase exposure. You are called to stand in awareness. Many people, when they begin to recognize manipulation or hidden behavior around them, feel an intense urge to confront everything immediately. They want answers. They want justice to appear quickly. They want the truth to be revealed right now, in one dramatic moment that settles everything. But wisdom moves differently. The calm observer does not rush. The calm observer understands that when truth is real, it does not need to be forced into the light. Truth carries its own gravity. Over time it pulls hidden things outward, the same way the rising sun slowly reveals everything that darkness tried to hide during the night. This is the philosophy of silent authority. Silent authority does not shout. Silent authority does not chase. Silent authority simply stands in clarity. When you stand in that clarity, something remarkable happens. The pressure that once lived inside you, confusion, doubt, the endless questioning of your own perception, begins to dissolve. Your mind becomes still. Your spirit becomes grounded. You no longer feel the need to prove what you know. You simply know. And that calm certainty changes the energy of every situation around you. Because the moment someone realizes they cannot control your perception anymore, they begin to face the weight of their own actions. Without your confusion to protect them, the consequences of their behavior slowly begin to surface. This is why patience was so important in your journey. If everything had been exposed earlier, you might have been pulled into emotional battles that drained your energy and clouded your understanding. But now you stand in a different place. Your clarity is stronger than your frustration. Your peace is greater than your anger. And that peace is power. Listen carefully to this final message. Those who acted against you while believing they would never be seen cannot escape the reality they created. For a long time they believed their actions would remain unnoticed, that their words would never be questioned, that their influence would continue without interruption. But that season has ended. The time when hidden behavior could move freely around you has closed. The quiet protection that once surrounded those patterns is dissolving. Not through revenge, not through confrontation, but through the natural unfolding of truth. Their time of escape is over. This does not mean you must seek their downfall. It does not mean you must watch them with anger or bitterness. In fact, the strongest position you can hold right now is peace. Because peace allows you to rise above the conflict entirely. When anger fades, clarity grows stronger. When resentment disappears, your spirit becomes lighter. The confusion that once filled your mind is replaced with calm understanding. And in that calm, you begin to see something extraordinary. You were never losing. You were learning. Every confusing moment sharpened your perception. Every uncomfortable situation strengthened your awareness. Every time you felt uncertain, your mind was quietly gathering the information that now allows you to see clearly. And now that clarity has arrived. You no longer need to question what your spirit recognizes. You no longer need to chase explanations from people who hoped you would never understand their behavior. You simply continue forward with calm confidence, allowing truth to unfold in its own time. This is what real empowerment feels like. Not loud. Not aggressive. But deeply unshakable. And as you continue walking with this awareness, something else will begin to happen. Others who carry a sincere heart, others who value truth and integrity, will recognize the stability within you. They will feel the calm strength in your presence. Because truth naturally attracts truth. If this message resonates with the quiet understanding already growing inside your spirit, take a moment to stand with it. Let it settle into your mind. And if you feel called to support and continue receiving messages that strengthen awareness and truth, you can show that support in simple ways, by acknowledging this message, by sharing it with someone who needs clarity, and by remaining connected to voices that speak with honesty. Every small act of standing with truth strengthens the light around you. But more important than any action you take online is the decision you make within your own heart, the decision to remain calm, aware, and aligned with truth no matter what unfolds around you. Because the process you have begun witnessing is only the beginning. Situations will continue to shift. Hidden dynamics will continue revealing themselves. People will continue adjusting their behavior as they realize that clarity has entered the room. You do not need to force any of it. Just watch. Watch how conversations begin to change. Watch how certain people grow quieter. Watch how situations that once seemed complicated suddenly resolve themselves. The same truth that awakened your awareness is now moving through your environment. And as it moves, everything built on confusion will slowly lose its place. So remain calm. Remain observant. Remain grounded in the quiet authority that now lives inside you. And watch what begins to unfold around you.